All right, we are live in beautiful sunny Florida. Hopefully my mic is going. Okay, my mic is good right now. We are live in beautiful sunny Florida, and today, fight fans, we are going to be breaking down UFC Fight Night 129, Maya versus Usman in Santiago, Chile. First ever card, UFC card in the country of Chile. And it's a decent card, man. I actually like it a lot from a betting perspective. I think there's a lot of value on this card, a lot of value that's not there anymore, a lot of fights that are, the line's getting a lot better, man. So I think this is a great card. I think although it doesn't have the name value, we do have a lot of fun fights. It's good from a betting perspective. I like that. Um, Very excited this week, man, because finally, I had a really big, profitable night for the UFC 224 card. Quickly, just to run through, I did profit 9.6 units on the weekend between Bellator and the UFC 224. 2.5 units on a Zaleski Dos Santos came through for me at plus money to win 2.5. I had a total of 7 units on Jack Hermanson. He came through huge for me, man. Shout out to Dan Levy of Half the Battle. He went big on him too. He always says this, man. A max bet should always be when your worst possible case scenario happens and you still cash the bet. Jack Hermanson had a fluke injury. He broke his rib mid fight, still came back, got that finish. Jack Hermanson's the man. Huge props to him for cashing that for me. I had 4.5 units on Marcus Perez. The only play that lost for me on the UFC card was I had the Davi Ramos Nick Hine over parlay with Marcus Perez. That lost. Credit to Davi Ramos. He was able to get Nick Hine down and sub him quick. He's so good on the ground, man. He's one of the best grapplers in the UFC, and I underestimated his finishing ability. Mackenzie Dern, she was a late bet for me. It wasn't until after the breakdown video I had put 2 units on her in a parlay with Hermanson. So yeah, she came big. And then on the Bellator card, I had the big 5.1 unit play on Ryan Bader. He comes through, easiest money of the weekend. And then I took the 1 unit small shot on Paul Daly. He got grinded out. It was a 50-50 fight in my eyes, man. And John Fitch, credit to him, even at 40 years old, he's still pulling out fights. So, but yeah, man, altogether 9.6 units. I told you guys I was feeling refreshed. I'm ready to go on a serious run. And I have 5 plays for this card here this weekend, man. I'm very, very excited to talk about these plays. Gonna keep the ball rolling, man. We got a 13 fight card here. So yeah, let's just get right into it. Start with the first fight of the night. And you're absolutely right. I have a play on this first fight of the night. So we got Felipe Silva minus 310 taking on Claudio Puelles plus 255. Basically, my read on this fight, man, is that Claudio Puelles, he's a 22-year-old kid that doesn't really belong in the UFC. Kind of shades of what we just saw from Martin Enkamp not too long ago, a younger kid who we put too much stock into the young age, saying, "Oh, this guy's going to improve." Some guys just don't have it. And going back and doing the tape on Claudio Puelles and doing the tape on guys he's lost to, I just don't think this kid is a UFC level at all, man. And Martin Bravo, we got finished by Martin Bravo in his lone UFC fight, and Martin Bravo, man, I don't believe that guy's the UFC caliber as well. So when you got the other side, you got Felipe Silva here, who's 8-1, his only loss being his last fight to Mairbek Taisumov. And I don't think you can hold Felipe Silva too much. You can't hold that loss too much against him. I mean, he was a plus 400 underdog in that fight for a reason. Nobody really expected him to win. And imagine what Mairbek Taisumov would do to all these guys that Felipe Silva has beaten, or imagine what Mairbek Taisumov would do to Claudio Puelles for that fact. Imagine what Mairbek Taisumov does to 90% of the lightweight division. So, yeah, he got one shot destroyed by Taisumov, but looking back, man, his UFC debut against Shane Campbell. Now, we know Shane Campbell is a Canadian kickboxing champion. Felipe Silva went in there, out kickboxed Shane Campbell, and knocked him out in 1 minute. This dude has serious hands. He's a serious strikes. He's got a submission win on his record, too. The dude can grapple. I've seen him grapple. He's not a bad grappler. I mean, he's got decision wins. We know this isn't a guy who just most of his wins are the first round finishes. I believe that's all his wins except for one lone decision win. But it's nice to see that he does have that decision win on his record, to know that he can go the 3 rounds if need be. Not only that, he got that decision win at welterweight. This dude has wins at welterweight. I think he's going to look a lot bigger than Claudio Puelles in there as well. I mean, this is a dude who fought and had success at welterweight. Now he is 5'11", 77 inches. Claudio Puelles is, should have done this, should have looked at this beforehand, but Claudio Puelles is 5'11", 72 inches. So going to be a nice big reach advantage for Felipe Silva in there as well. I don't see Claudio Puelles being able to get this onto the ground. I don't think he has that kind of wrestling. I don't think Felipe has bad takedown defense. I think he has great takedown defense. And on the feet, it's a complete mismatch. So that being said, I put 3.5 units on Felipe Silva in a 2-leg parlay with somebody later in the card. I'm going to say he gets this done by I'm going to say he gets it done by first round KO, man. I just think the kid Puelles just doesn't belong in here. The line is huge for a right reason, and if it should be even wider in my opinion. So yeah, I got Felipe Silva big here. Sucks he's so overpriced in the betting. It sucks he's so, shouldn't say overpriced. I mean, the books know about how good this guy is and how Puelles doesn't really belong. So I mean, I was hoping for a better line. He's $9,400 in DraftKings, so it sucks they knew about it, but is what it is. There's still value on him in my eyes, at least with the betting. I don't know about DraftKings. We'll see. Maybe I'll probably still have him in some DraftKings lineups. But moving on to the next fight, man, we got Frankie Saenz minus 280 taking on Henry Briones plus 240. Not going to talk about this fight too much. I do think the line is pretty off, though. I definitely think Frankie Saenz should be the favorite. I mean, going back, Henry Briones is an old man. At this point, he's not the most talented in the world, but Frankie Saenz, yeah, he's got that wrestling behind him, but I feel like he's getting old as well. He's a little chinny. I think if Henry Briones can keep this fight standing for a long enough period of time, find his range, I think he could hit Saenz with some big shots, possibly even finish him. So I think that Frankie Saenz is definitely at minus 280. I don't recommend parlaying him at all. I think the line should be a little bit more like Frankie Saenz minus 160, Henry Briones plus 130. I think Briones has a better chance than the odds makers do. So, yeah, I got Saenz. I think he probably wins via the wrestling, but we'll see what happens. Didn't look into it too much. But this is a fight I did look into. Moving on to this one, we got Enrique Barzola minus 195 taking on Brandon Davis plus 160. Now, I'm not very high in this Brandon Davis kid whatsoever. I actually faded him against Steven Peterson in his last fight. Came out, got the victory, but I'm going to fade him here again, man. And I definitely feel a lot more comfortable with a guy like Enrique Barzola. So I put 3 units on the minus 180. I just feel like there's a clear wrestling advantage. Enrique Barzola, as long as he goes in, shoots for those takedowns, I feel like he's most definitely going to get them. I feel like he's a lot stronger than Davis. He can hold them down, and I feel like even on the feet, Brandon Davis, he's a wild man, but he's not the most technical, man. I feel like Enrique Barzola, he might come out and surprise people with the striking. I feel like he's the more technical striker. I feel like he can slow down that craziness of Brandon Davis with leg kicks. So I kind of like Enrique Barzola, even if this fight stays standing. Obviously, the wrestling would be the best route to victory, but yeah, man, I love him here. I took 3 units minus 180. He's minus 195, minus 190 in most books now. So still value in my opinion. I honestly think Enrique Barzola should be like minus 270 in this spot. So yeah, 3 units, Enrique Barzola minus 180. Got a lot of him in DraftKings as well. So yeah, definitely recommend good old Enrique Barzola here. The dude's on a run. Look at his record. I mean, even that lone loss to Kyle Bochniak, it's a fight he probably won, man. I mean, it's close fight, but I definitely gave him that fight. But moving on to this one, man, we got another Peruvian fighter here. So we got Humberto Bendene, plus 185, taking on Gabriel Mugli Benitez, minus 225. Now, a lot of money has came in on Gabriel Benitez so far, and I mean, I am going to be picking Gabriel Benitez here. I feel like he's the more technical fighter. He's probably a level or maybe even 2 levels above Humberto Bendene. I can't say that name. It doesn't roll off the tongue at all. But man, Humberto, he's not as technical as Mowgli when it comes to the striking or even the grappling for that matter. By any means, Gabriel probably has the advantage everywhere here, man. But the thing about Humberto, this dude is huge for the division. He hits like a truck. He's very dangerous, and we've seen Gabriel Benitez not once but a couple times get rocked in the octagon. And man, I just feel like this kid Humberto, he's young. He's got a lot to prove. Gabriel, he's young in his career too, man. But if Humberto came out here and hit Gabriel with a good shot and finished him, I wouldn't be that surprised. So at the price now, minus 225, I definitely don't recommend Benitez here. Back when it was like minus 170, maybe, yeah, I can see it. It opened minus 120, Benitez. If you got that line, yeah, I definitely understand that. But yeah, I got Gabriel Benitez, but at the current price, I wouldn't trust it. I'll have a little bit of Benitez in DraftKings, though. So yeah, I'm going to say Gabriel Benitez gets this fight done by a, say, 30-27 decision. So moving on to the next fight, didn't look into this one a whole lot, but we got Pauliana Botelho, minus 165, taking on Sierra Kondo, plus 145. Two decent strikers in this this women's, was it 115-pound division, right? Yeah, 115. Two decent strikers here. I just think Pauliana Botelho is probably a step ahead. You really didn't get to see her full toolbox when it comes to the striking against Pro Gonzalez, just because Pro Gonzalez just made it such a shitty, boring fight, man. But I think these two girls are going to go at it, and we could actually see a nice 3-round striking match. But got to edge Botelho here. I think the line is just about right where it is now with Botelho, minus 165, minus 170 on some books. So, yeah, not much to say. I think she probably outstrikes Kondo here over the course of 3 rounds. I'll say 29-28 decision. So moving on to the next fight here, man. This is a good one. I was hoping they would remake this fight one day just because it was so good the first time. We got Alexandre Pantoja, minus 125, taking on Brandon Moreno, plus 105. This was the season that Tim Elliott won to get the title shot against Demetrius Johnson. Pantoja was the number 1 seed that season. Brandon Moreno was the number 16 seed. It's crazy how things change. But yeah, Brandon Moreno and Pantoja, they put on a really good fight the first time. Pantoja did get the finish in that second round. Moreno kind of slowed down a lot, and Pantoja just showed what a much better grappler he is. Moreno's tricky on the ground. I mean, he can pull out great submissions against guys like Dustin Ortiz, but I mean, let's be honest here. He was getting beat pretty bad by Dustin Ortiz and kind of just pulled out a late submission. And looking at that Sergio Pettis fight, he had a really good first round, but he lost the next 4. Even the Pantoja fight, he arguably won the first round there, lost the second round. So I kind of feel like this kid Brandon Moreno is a little bit of a first round fighter. I won't say the Dustin Ortiz one was a fluke. He's a dangerous guy for sure, but I feel like Alexandre Pantoja, he's a smarter grappler. I don't feel like he's going to give up position like Dustin Ortiz did and end up getting tapped in the end. I feel like Pantoja can come out here, kind of make it a crazy fight once again. Maybe Brandon Moreno, I'm sure he's worked on the cardio. He went hard 25 with Sergio Pettis, but I don't know, man. I don't really feel like much has changed. I feel like, if anything, Moreno improved more than Pantoja. He's a much younger guy. But yeah, I think Pantoja should be favored here, if not a little bit more than the minus 125 it currently sits at. I think it should be minus 150-ish, but I'm going to go with Pantoja, and I'm going to say he gets the finish again. I'm going to go with Alexandre Pantoja, 3rd round submission, and I think it's going to be another excellent fight, and might be my pick for fight of the night, man. So definitely looking forward to that one, but from a betting perspective, I'm going to stay away. Even though I like that price on Pantoja, Brandon Moreno, he burns people quite a bit, so I would definitely recommend just sitting back watching this one from a fan perspective. So this next fight, this one is not one I'm going to be sitting back from a fan's perspective. We got Zach Cummings, minus 140, taking on Michelle Pizarris, plus 120. The line has been going back and forth on this one. Both guys have been dogs, and I did take a dog shot on Zach Cummings. I put 2.5 units on Zach Cummings at plus 110. Man, I just feel like Michelle Pizarris, he's been winning fights at lightweight. The dude has an amazing record. He's 24-2, but how is he winning these fights? He's winning these fights against lightweights. And keep in mind, not even the best lightweights. He's not beating any top 15 guys. He's beating Mads Burnell. He's beating Josh Berkman. Des Green is a good fighter. Gilbert Burns is a good fighter. But, I mean, he's barely scraping out these wins again. I mean, barely scraping out wins against Des Green. That fight was close. He destroyed Berkman and Mads Burrell, but that's Berkman and Mads Burrell. That fight against Valmir Lazaro, I thought Lazaro got absolutely robbed there. I thought Viserys lost that fight. And he's winning these fights at lightweight by having these 20-pound weight advantages. He's so big. He's the biggest guy at lightweight, and thankfully he's not there anymore. He's going up to 170 pounds, up 15 pounds, and now he's fighting the former light heavyweight in Zach Cummings. Zach Cummings is going to have a huge size advantage here. Michelle Viserys at 5'6", Zach Cummings at 6 foot. This is a half-foot advantage. And it's not like height advantages really mean anything. It's more of a size thing, man. Michelle Viserys wins fights by having gigantic size advantages. Now he has a size disadvantage, and I just feel like this is going to play a huge role in if Michelle Viserys can land takedowns or not. I'm going to say he does not get takedowns here. Zach Cummings keeps it standing. He picks Viserys apart and eventually TKOs him late. So, yeah, I say Zach Cummings. Maybe he gets taken down at first, but Viserys is going to have to expend a lot of energy. I think he's going to tire himself out. Even if he does get the takedowns, he might not even. I would definitely like it if he doesn't land any. But I think Zach Cummings will eventually get the TKO finish here over the much smaller guy, the older guy. Got to thank Michelle Viserys, 37 years old now, man. So, yeah, I got Zach Cummings. I say he gets it done by a second-round TKO. I know there's a lot of strong opinions on this fight on both sides, so yeah, that's my opinion. I say Zach Cummings. I will say second-round TKO. 2.5 units at plus 110 to win 2.75. So moving on to the next fight, we got Chad Laprise plus 175 taking on Vicente Luque minus 210. I like the spot for Luque a lot, man. I put 3 units at minus 177 to win. Was it somewhere around 1.68 units? I feel like I feel like Vicente Luque actually has the advantage everywhere in this fight, man. I think that 12-6 record is a little deceiving. He dropped some early in his career, but he's looking sensational, man. He lost that fight to Leon Rocky Edwards, but Leon Rocky Edwards is a legit top 10 fighter. Chad Laprise, in my opinion, he's just a average Canadian striker, man, and he can go out there and beat guys who don't belong, like Galore Buffondo and Brian Camozzi, but Vicente Luque is an absolute savage. The guy started out as a grappler. He was originally known as a grappler. I watched him choke a man out in person in Hader Hassan, but his striking has become one of the best striking games to watch in the entire UFC. The way this man throws punches and with accuracy and precision, and he's got huge power. I feel like he's definitely going to have an edge on Laprise in the striking, and if it comes to the grappling, he's got a huge edge there. So I really feel like this guy is he's got the advantage everywhere, man. I like him a lot. So yeah, 3 units minus 177. I feel like maybe if Chad tries to keep distance, I don't know, man. I kind of maybe if he's going to win, he's probably going to outstrike Vicente Luque, and we're maybe just underrating the striking of Chad and overrating the striking of Vicente Luque. That's going to be the case if Chad wins. It'll probably be a decision where he outstrikes Luque, but I really don't see that happening. When I watch Luque's striking and Laprise's striking, I feel like Luque's is much sharper. That's just my opinion. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Luque. I think he has the advantage everywhere. I'm going to say he gets a late TKO here. I'm going to say Vicente Luque, 3rd round TKO. So moving on to the next fight, man, we got Andrea Lee, minus 330, taking on Veronica Macedo, plus 270. I think the line on Andrea Lee is a little crazy here, man. I don't think the debuting Invicta chick should be 3-1 favorite, because we've seen these debuting Invicta chicks come in overhyped and drop fights before. Andrea Lee, she's got all right striking. She can go out there and knock out jobbers, and she can submit jobbers too. But oh man, she's fighting low competition. Go out there and watch her fight anybody decent like a Sarah DeLelio, and even old woman Sarah DeLelio was able to go out there, grind her out, and submit her late in the fight. And that's really the last legit opponent she had. That Liz Tracy girl she fought. She went to a split with her. She was all right, but these girls she's going out there and finishing like 4-3 Jamie Thornton, 4-2 Heather Bassett, and 6-4 Jenny Luau. Those are just the lows of the lows. Arielle Beck finished her. These girls she's beating are lows of the lows. She's going out there losing to tough vets like Sarah DeLelio and Roxanne Modafari. Here's the thing, though, and the line's crazy, but I don't know if I can take the shot on Veronica Macedo because the string of girls that Andrea Lee lost to, like the DeLelios and Roxanne Modafaris, that's experience right there. That's experience beating Andrea Lee. And Veronica Macedo, she's kind of on the same line as Andrea Lee in career progression. She's very young. This is Veronica Macedo's second UFC fight. I'm glad she's down to 125 now. She made her debut undersized. So I don't know. I like the grappling I see from Veronica Macedo, and I actually think there's a good chance she might have the advantage here. So I think if it gets down to the ground, I'd be careful parlaying or playing Andrea Lee at minus 330 here because I think there's a good chance Veronica Macedo might have the grappling advantage and pull out something sneaky here. So my pick's going to be Andrea Lee. That's the smart pick. She's probably the better fighter. She'll probably piece up Veronica Macedo on the feet. But I would not trust Andrea Lee at the price that she is at there. So yeah, I'll say Andrea Lee gets it done by a 29-28 decision. So moving on to the next fight, man, we got Diego Rivas minus 155, the only Chilean fighter on this card, taking on Guido Canetti plus 135. So yeah, man, the only Chilean fighter on this card, Diego Rivas. They definitely want to give him an easy fight. They want to put the only Chilean guy under the spotlight, give him the big win, give him the big moment. So they give him my boy Guido Canetti, who is Guido Canetti is a habitual loser, and he's 38 years old. He's not exactly coming right off of a suspension. He had that fight against Kang, but I mean, we're talking about a guy who's, I mean, at the end, this could be his. I mean, would you be surprised if he lost this fight and then he retired? I wouldn't. So looking back at his string of UFC fights, including Tough, his first Ultimate Fighter fight, he loses to Marco Antonio Beltran, who not a UFC level fighter. He gets smoked by Alejandro Perez, who is a UFC level fighter, but he smoked him. And then he got submitted by Henry Briones. And then his lone UFC win against Hugo Viana. He was a plus 450 underdog. I'll give him credit for pulling off that win, but I mean, Hugo Viana, let's look at this guy real quick. So his UFC run, his last three fights, he got finished by Aljamain Sterling. He got a decision by Guido Canetti. He was a minus 700 favorite against Guido Canetti, lost that fight. And then his most recent fight in RFA 2 years ago, and this was his last fight, he was fighting this 3-3 dude, Zach Riley. He was a minus 1750 favorite, and he lost that fight. I believe that is if not number one, but the second biggest underdog in MMA history, cashing right there. Hugo Viana loses as a minus 1750 favorite. That's the kind of level we're talking about here. So that's Guido Canetti's only UFC win. And then, of course, he comes back after the USADA layoff and gets smoked in the first round by Kyung Ho Kang. And yeah, you can say, oh, Guido Canetti was on a long layoff coming off a suspension. Kyung Ho Kang's last fight was further away than Guido Canetti's last fight. Kyung Ho Kang was gone almost 4 years. So can't really use the layoff as an excuse for Guido Canetti because Kyung Ho Kang was coming off a layoff too. So now we got Diego Rivas on the other side who, let's be honest, he definitely isn't the greatest fighter in the world, and he's probably not even one of the top 3 tough Latin America fighters, but kid's a winner. He's 7-1. He is a finish over a decent fighter in Nawad Lahat. He just won a hard 3 rounds with Jose Quinones, who is one of the top 3 tough Latin America fighters, and Jose Quinones won a hard 3 with him. He's he's 2-1 in the UFC, not counting the tough fight where he lost to Gabriel Benitez in the on the tough show in the house. He lost to Benitez via submission. but that's Gabriel Benitez. You know what Gabriel Benitez would do to Guido Canetti? But yeah, so I just think Diego Rivas, and he's 26 years old. He's in his athletic prime. He's in his country. The UFC wants to set him up. This is definitely a good spot for him against Guido Canetti. I think he smokes him wherever this fight goes. He's got the advantage everywhere. So I put 4 units on Diego Rivas at minus 155 to win 2.6 units. So I'm big on Diego Rivas here, and I will say he gets it done. I'll say second round TKO. So 4 units on Diego Rivas. He's actually my biggest play of the weekend. So moving on in the next fight, this is a fun fight, man. I'm glad I'm sitting back to watch this one from a fan perspective. We got Dominic Reyes minus 255 taking on Jared Cannonier plus 215. I feel like that line is probably about right. Jared Cannonier, he's he's a decent striker. He's got decent power. I feel like he's a little undersized at 205. But he can beat the bottom of the barrel 205 guys for sure. I mean, I would never not bet Jared Cannonier is a solid guy, but I kind of feel like Dominic Reyes might be something special, man. I mean, he's a high-level athlete, played college football. He's huge for the division. He's got the striking down pat. He's a very solid guy. I'd like to see more of his groundwork, but that's something you probably don't even have to worry about here if you're Dominic Reyes, is the ground game, because Jared Cannonier is basically just a striker. So I feel like with this fight taking place on the feet, Dominic Reyes, he's the way bigger guy. He's a lot longer. I feel like he's going to be able to use those kicks successfully against Cannonier. So I like Dominic Reyes here a decent amount. I know my boy Justin at UFC Bro Picks. He's going big on Cannonier here as a dog, and he's crazy with those dog plays. He hits them all the time. So best luck to him. I'll be rooting for Cannonier, but I think Dominic Reyes might be something special, and I will go with him via a first round head kick KO. So moving on to this one, man, talk about inflated lines. We got Tatyana Suarez. I'll say it at one book, one of my books that I use, minus 725, taking on Alexa Grasso plus 550. And it actually opened at that book at Pick'em. Went from Pick'em to minus 725. So insane amount of confidence on Tatyana Suarez here. And stylistically, yeah, I get it for sure. I definitely favor her. I mean, how could you not pick Tatyana Suarez here? Just, I don't know about minus 725. I'm thinking more like minus 250 here. So Alexa Grasso, who is a very solid boxer, who has decent takedown defense, plus 550, that's tempting, but I kind of want to stay away from betting fighters that I'm picking to lose, even if I think the line is wacky, which it definitely is wacky. Do not go parlay Tatyana Suarez at minus 725 for God's sake. So yeah, Tatyana Suarez should probably win this fight via wrestling. I feel like Alexa Grasso, maybe she might be able to stuff the takedowns and outstrike her over 3. Maybe that happens, but yeah, Tatyana Suarez, I'll say 30-27 decision. So finally moving on to the main event here, man, which is an absolutely fantastic fight. We got the Nigerian nightmare, Kamaru Usman, minus 550 taking on Damian Maia plus 425. Kamaru Usman is easily one of my favorite fighters in the UFC right now. He's been one of my biggest money trains. It's unfortunate that he's at these crazy prices, but thankfully, I was able to get a lot better than the minus 550 it sits at right now. I parlayed him with Felipe Silva. I got Kamaru Usman at minus 360. Parlayed with Felipe Silva at minus 285. I put 3.5 units on this parlay at minus 140. And I forgot what the return on that is. It's 3.5 minus 140 to win 2.51. So, yeah, very confident on Usman here against Damian Maia. I feel like this is kind of, we're about to see what happened in Damian Maia versus Colby Covington. Probably a lot worse, in my opinion, just because I feel like when it comes to the wrestling, Usman, the wrestling, the pace, the cardio, the pressure he puts on, I feel like Usman and Colby are neck and neck in those departments. But when it comes to the striking, Usman is a more explosive, more powerful, more technical striker than Colby Covington. That's just me. I'm a big Kamaru Usman guy, and I would take him against Colby Covington all day. I feel like Kamaru Usman will give Damian Maia a lot more problems on the feet than Colby Covington was even able to do. So I actually like Kamaru Usman via an early knockout here. I feel like we might see those old days of Damian Maia versus Nate Marquardt might be coming back here. I'm going to go with Kamaru Usman via first round KO here. I think Damian Maia won't even be able to get a chance to get it onto the ground here. Kamaru Usman's wrestling is just so on point. Damian Maia, yeah, we know him as the great grappler, and he's even so good at getting to the ground, but can he get it to the ground with the prime Kamaru Usman, the Nigerian Nightmare, the best money train in MMA right now? One of my favorite fighters. So, yeah, I had to take some action on Kamaru Usman here, and I feel very confident with the two-leg parlay. I feel like Felipe Silva and Kamaru Usman should be the two biggest dogs of the card, or two biggest favorites of the card, not freaking minus 725 Tatyana Suarez. That's crazy that Tatyana Suarez is a bigger favorite than Felipe Silva and Usman, but that's just me, man. I got Kamaru Usman big here. Obviously, Damian Maia, if he gets the back of anybody, it could be good night Irene for anybody, man, but I'm confident that Kamaru Usman doesn't let it get there. So, yeah, I'm huge on Usman here. 3.5 units on him in that parlay with Felipe Silva. So, yeah, that's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Appreciate all you live chat guys in here watching this live. You're all the best. Trent Darko, Trevor Parker, Spaghetti, all you guys, Marco, Cheese. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Always subscribe. Again, I haven't missed a card in probably coming up on 2 years now. I haven't missed a card in like 2 years. Hit the like button. It takes like 2 seconds. Comment below. I want to know who you guys are betting on this card. I'm always interested in that. Follow me on Twitter. I'm down to talk fights with just about anybody. I'm on Twitter, MMAKelton. Yeah, man, 9.6 units last week. I'm looking to do the same this week. Love my plays. I'm ready to get this train rolling. So, yeah, guys, appreciate you watching very much. But most importantly, enjoy the fights this weekend.